When you see that, just click got it. And as I say, it's just going to be sort of 5-10 minutes. So let's get started, guys. This is a reading class, and I'm going to record also to the cloud. Here we go. Okay, so this is OET reading. All of this week, we will focus on Part C. And we're also going to be reviewing the vocabulary from Monday that you guys did with Paul. I'm not going to review the vocabulary today, though. I'll review the vocabulary tomorrow. We're just going to jump straight in for this class and start with format, technique, and practice. Okay. So, guys, can you just tell me, can you all just say hello? Put your microphones on, say hello, if you are here.
Hello.
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 I'm not talking to myself.
Hello. Hello.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Now, today we're going to talk about three things as usual, all right? So we'll talk about the format of the test, just in case anyone's new or maybe some people have some questions for me. We'll talk about techniques, just the most basic techniques, and then we're going to practice in groups today. We'll try and do 3 questions. So this is the structure of the class. Let's start with format. I presume most people here know the format of the test really well. I'm talking about Part C here. Okay, so the format is like, how many questions are there? How much time do we have? All that kind of thing. So let's try Armel. Could you say hello, Armel? Or if we could have Daniela or Ersin, whoever wants to go first.
Hello.
Hey, Ersin. So we'll have Ersin and then Armel. So Ersin, we're talking about reading Part C. How many questions are there?
12.
8.
12. Is that right, guys? Is it 12 or is it more?
No, it's 16.
16.
16.
Oh,
I think 16.
So
Both
Ersin,
paragraphs.
yes, microphone's off. Ersin, you're just thinking of listening, aren't you? You're thinking of listening. So that would be 12 listening. Okay. So here we've got 16 questions. Microphone's off, please, guys. Armel, could you say hello? Or we could have Alexandra as well, or Ale.
Yes.
Hello. Hello.
How many texts are there, Ale and Armel? How many texts?
2 texts.
Yeah,
2 texts.
there would be 2 texts. Okay, so you got 2 texts. And Ale, how many questions per text, please?
8 questions.
8
Or Armel?
questions.
Now, guys,
I don't know.
yeah, now just the people that I say, so I don't mind you coming in, voila. But if I'm speaking only to Armel and Ale, you can't just come in, otherwise it'll get very messy very quickly, all right? So Ale, could you tell us again, how many questions per text? Could you put your microphone on?
Yes, sorry, I have a noise background. So
It's okay, it's all right. So 8 questions, right, per text. It's okay, I don't mind having noises of children. We're talking about the format of the test. What is it like? And you guys need to know this extremely well in the exam. Okay, so let's have some more people, guys. If I say your name, please put your microphones on, or if you're not available to speak, please let me know in the chat if you're not available. Okay, so Madalena, can you say hello? Or Mashal?
Hello.
Hey, Madalena. So Madalena, 16 questions, 2 long texts, okay, 8 questions per text. How many multiple choice options are there?
3.
Is that right, guys? What do you all think?
4.
4.
And this is, you might think that this is not important so much, but it really is, because it's going to change the emphasis on the technique. Okay, you're going to be focusing more on elimination because you've got more options. Okay, I'll talk about that in a minute, but there's 4 options here, guys. A, B, C, and D. It's partly why it's so difficult. What type of text will we read? Catalin, can you say hello? Or if we could speak to Kamani.
Hello.
These texts, what are they about? What are they usually talking about? Well, how are you going to study if you're not really sure what text to read? You know what I mean? Can anyone help her? What are they about?
Guidelines.
Research.
It's usually
Studies,
it's usually
research.
research, okay? And things like that, okay? And things like research, like new
Guidelines.
procedures, new guide, yeah. But I'm going to say things like that. It's most of the time research or a new way of doing medicine in a hospital, right? A new way of organizing things. It's academic, guys. It's
Using of
academic languages. Sorry, Hussein, if you want to come in there, go on, Hussein.
using of new equipment, maybe.
It could be like this new scanner or something, and it's going to revolutionize medicine or something. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've got 4 multiple choice options. It's always a research text. Okay, I'm just going to make it simple today. I'll just put research with a star. What are they testing? Muslime, could you say hello?
Yes, hello.
What type of reading are they trying to test you on here? You know what I mean? We read in different ways. So in reading A, we're reading for details. What type of reading is it here? Do you know?
Main idea.
You said research. I know research studies.
Main idea.
Just
Main-
Muslim guys, don't come in and answer for her, please, as I've said before. Give her a chance.
We
all right?
look for main idea.
Okay, so she's saying main idea. I think that is actually true, okay, but it's not everything.
Inference.
Yeah, so main idea and inference. There you go. So she knew the answer. Please don't interrupt when someone's trying to get the answer, all right? So they're testing main idea and inference. What is inference, though? Could I speak to Betul? Are you there, Betul? Or
Yes.
Najibullah? This idea of inference is very difficult reading. What does it
Yeah.
mean, inference?
This question is not directly the answer. Firstly, I read the paragraph and then I have to understand something different. I couldn't explain, sorry.
No, that's exactly right. It's not directly stated, and you read the paragraph and you have to, a bit like Sherlock Holmes, guys. What does Sherlock Holmes do? Does anyone know the word for what he does?
Solves mystery
Imply,
or,
implication,
yeah.
like
Solves mystery, he investigates. and
Investigate.
the answer is not directly given to Sherlock Holmes, right? He has to think about it, look at evidence, and then he solves the problem. In the same way, in reading sometimes, okay, you're going to get the answer not directly stated, but if you think about it, you can get the answer. So this is partly why this part of the test is so difficult. It's not just main idea questions. You can get inference questions. Okay. Now we'll see examples of those when we do the practice. I'll show you examples. All right. But in general, guys, this is the format of the test. 16 questions, both two long text, 8 questions per text. You're always reading a kind of research paper type text. There's 4 multiple choice options, and they're trying to test you on main idea and inference reading. Does anyone here have any questions about the format you would like to ask me? Just put your hand up and I'll nominate you. Just use the, there's a button on Zoom, or you can just say, Alan, I've got a question. Anyone got any questions?
Just about the inference, if you give some quick information against inference.
Yeah, I'll give you an example, Hussein, if you want.
Yeah.
Right. So you're married, aren't you, Hussein?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So your wife says, are you going to wear that jacket?
Sometimes she's asking me.
So if she says that, right, maybe her face is, she's not smiling, right?
Yeah.
So what does it mean? Everyone, what does it mean if someone says, are you going to
She
wear
doesn't like the jacket.
Is implying.
don't wear it.
The difference is maybe doesn't like jacket, right?
Or maybe he's trying to impress other ladies.
Yeah, well, this is the thing with inference, right? Because it's not directly stated, right? This is just a question, isn't it? It's not direct. You can make inferences that maybe can go too far, right? And we'll talk about this later on in the week. I often talk about weak inferences and strong inferences.
Can I assume negative stuff? Negative stuff.
Say that again, Val, go on.
And people can assume negative stuff, negative thoughts or.
Yeah, well, we can't. A weak inference is when you make an inference and you're jumping too far. So, what do you think with this one, guys? Maybe doesn't like jacket. Is that a weak inference or a strong inference? Do you all think?
Maybe.
Weak.
That's a strong inference. Come on.
Strong.
That's probably what it means. Certainly in the UK, in UK culture. Okay, that would be strong. What about this though? She thinks I'm having an affair. Is that a strong inference or a weak?
No, it's a weak one.
You're going too far now, right? Like maybe she thinks that, but you cannot say that from only one question. Does that make sense? So often OET will use weak inferences against you, right? You can only get strong inferences in OET. So that's inference, guys. Now,
Thank you.
I have a
You're
question.
welcome.
Can we say synonym for inference is guesswork?
Kind of. A synonym for inference would be not guessing, but almost.
Guesswork.
Synonyms for inference would be suggest.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good inference, a synonym. You know what I mean? Like, does anyone know in OET, often in OET it will say something like, the writer suggests, right? The writer suggests.
Yeah.
Well, suggesting is not saying directly, is it? Suggesting is indirect statements. You see what I mean? So for I could say, you know, Hussein's wife is suggesting here, she is suggesting, that maybe that's not the best jacket to wear for this. Maybe they're going to a wedding or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
She's not saying, I don't like your jacket, right? If she said it, then we would say the writer states, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And here we would change it to just saying, please don't wear that jacket. This is a wedding. Your jacket is too, you know, not appropriate or something. I don't know.
Can we
Sorry
say
about this example.
I think
Indirect
guessing from giving information like that.
It's not guessing, is it? Because you have a very good idea with inference, Muslime, right? I'll give you another example before we move on. Muslime, can you put your microphone on?
Yeah, okay.
That someone stole my phone yesterday. Where were you yesterday? Someone stole my phone.
Sorry to hear that.
We don't know where.
What am I suggesting, guys, about Muslime here?
What she's going
Lying.
My phone, right? But obviously that's an inference. I didn't say it directly, did I? I didn't say, Muslime, you stole my phone, right? So that's inference, and we'll see examples this week of this, guys. So I'll come back to this when we look at real examples of questions. All right.
But if someone is a bit naive, doesn't know any.
Well, no, that's the thing, because you can be, if you are a bit naive, then you're not very good at inferences. Yeah, but I think also, Nozad, you know, it's a cultural thing as well. It can be cultural. Like, what does it mean when an English person says this? It might not mean the same thing in different countries.
Can we say imply that?
Imply is a good synonym. Yeah, implies.
Okay.
Is a good synonym. Okay. Now we'll come back to this. All right. So we will definitely return to this very important point, but let's look at technique now. I'll do this quite quickly and then we'll start practicing. So we're going to do a review of the basic technique. Is anyone new to OET here? You never really done much OET before. Never.
Me.
Who's done the exam? Who said me? Who was that? Daniela. So you're kind of like a new. Okay. So Daniela or Sultan, right? You're in the exam. Okay. You won't be blue here, but it'll look something like this. You're in the exam. So let me write this here. You're in the exam. Daniela, could you put your microphone on?
Yes.
So exam has started. Okay. What's the first thing you need to do? Very first thing.
To read the text.
Yeah, sometimes people go straight to the questions, and that's not a good idea. The first thing is going to look at the title. If there's a, what do we call this, guys?
Subtitle.
subtitle. So read these, and you should spend a little bit of time, like 30 seconds, thinking about what, guys? Thinking about what is this text about?
Main idea.
Very general, Sultan, the main idea. So here, guys, what's the main idea of this text?
About homeopathy.
And does it work? So it's a bit like challenging, skeptical, right? Maybe we don't believe it works. Okay, so that's just quickly about that, because studies show that if you think about it, students who understand the overall topic of the text perform better. Okay, so that's the first thing you do. In terms of the technique, though, Abdullah, what's the first thing we do when we're trying to answer our questions? Could you put your microphone on?
Yeah. Can you repeat the
5 steps? Go on.
Can I have the question once again, please, if you don't?
Okay, so after I read the title, right? What do I do next?
Well, then we read the question stem.
Yeah, this is just for people who are starting, right? So we're going to read the question stem. What is a stem, Abdullah?
The actual question, which is the way the question is presented, what's the question asking us to do?
Just this bit, yeah? And obviously, think about it this way. What does stem mean, guys? Think about the word brain stem. What is a brain stem?
So,
Yes.
It's the beginning. Yeah, right. So we're going to read the stem only first. And then Akhtar, could you say hello? Or Alina? Or Rosa? What do I do next?
I'm also new in OET.
Oh, okay. So any ideas? What would you normally do next?
Simplify the question.
Guys, don't come in with the answers. You've got to give her a chance. Just Rosa, please. Rosa, what would you normally do?
When I read the question, possibly I would try to find the synonym or the same words from the text.
Yeah, now this is a good important point. I think when people are starting off, guys, what they tend to do, what they think they can do is get a keyword and find the keyword, right? Yeah. Is that a good technique, guys? What do we think? Yes or no?
No.
Absolutely not, unfortunately, because this is inference and this is main idea reading, so you can't just find one sentence, right? Instead, Rosa, we normally say simplify the question. Okay. Do you know what I mean by that?
No, actually.
I'll show you what I mean, guys. Remove unnecessary words. So in this one here, Rosa, could you read that to us? The two
reports mentioned in the first paragraph both concluded
that homeopathy, right?
Yeah.
So I'll talk about this more tomorrow, okay? But we can just remove things we don't need. We don't need first paragraph in our question. Does that make sense? Right? You shouldn't be thinking about that. And you don't need this.
Okay.
Okay. So you're going to simplify longer questions, because otherwise it can be very difficult to understand. Okay. So that's step 2. Simplify question if needed. Guys, what is step 3?
Read the text.
Yeah. Read and, everyone, read and
Think the question.
Think about answer.
think about the question, right?
Yeah, question.
The simple question. That's why we simplify the question. So we're going to think about what the simple question here, Rosa. Okay, so this is maybe the tricky bit that we'll talk about today a little bit. So I'm going to read the full paragraph, guys. All right. And I'm going to think about the question at the same time. How can I do that? How is that possible? Could I speak to Ronak? Could you say hello? Or Raisa? Ronak or Raisa? How can I think about the question and read the text at the same time?
To simplify.
How? I'm not saying why. How? How do I do it?
I mean, I was there, but I'm just coming.
It's okay. It's okay. Guys, can we help her out? Am I going to read all of this? No, I'm going to read maybe this much. Then what am I going to do, guys?
Thinking about the question.
Right, you're going to move backwards and forwards, right? So you read a little bit, then you go to the question, you go backwards and forth. It's really useful to do this. It's a very useful technique. Okay.
Only the stem? Sorry, you are checking
only the stem, Ersin, yeah, only the stem. So you read maybe one sentence, two sentences, and then you think about the question again. Read one, two sentences, think about question, backwards and forth. Okay. What do we do next after that? Everyone, Ersin or Ahmed? We're going to eliminate. Okay. And how many answer options do we have? Everyone, how many answer options are there?
Four.
So this is really important, isn't it, in part C, to eliminate? How many should we eliminate?
Two.
Three.
I'm going to say eliminate 2 easy ones.
3.
Well, usually what happens is you can eliminate usually 2, but then you get 2 which are very difficult to decide upon. Does that make sense? So usually if you think carefully, you can take away 2 easy ones, remove, but then you're going to have to think much more deeply and carefully for the last 2. Okay, so guys, by eliminate, I just mean remove options like this. Okay, what's the last thing I'm going to do, guys? I'm down to my final 2. What's the last thing I'm going to do?
Answer the question.
To answer at a certain point. How much time do we have to answer within?
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay, approximately 2 minutes. So that's the technique we're going to focus on today, guys. We're going to practice this now. Does anyone have any questions before we start?
Hello.
So how many, can I ask a question?
Yeah, we'll have Teodora and then we'll have Norzad. So Teodora, go on. Sorry, I muted you, Teodora. Go on. You want to put your microphone on?
Sorry.
Okay.
So how many minutes we have per question in total? 2 minutes?
2 minutes per question, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Because you have part B and part C, you have 45 minutes. Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any Norzad, what was your question?
Yeah, it is about the method. The first read the question stem, then simplify, then go to the text. If I don't know, maybe this method that if we underline the keyword of the options, then go to the text. This method also maybe can work for some people, because when I just underline the keyword of the options, then we can go to the text. We can, find the synonyms or something.
It's possible.
It may work. Yeah. It may work. It is not like say black and white.
It's not the official OET technique though, Norzad. You're not supposed to do that officially. So if that were, what do you normally score in the listening C? What can you, do you have a good score? Because if it's working for you, of course, I'm not going to say change it if it's working for you, okay? But it's not the official recommended way to do it. This more or less is what you're supposed to do, okay? I added in simplify the question is my idea, and also eliminating. But you're not supposed to choose keywords because of inference, okay? But if you can do well, then whatever works for you. I just want people to pass, of course. Any other questions before we move on? I think we should practice now. We're going to practice this technique, okay? And I'll demonstrate the technique to you as well. We can all practice the first one together, and then I'll put you guys in groups. And all this week, we're going to be working on part C. All right? So here we go. Let me just take a photograph of this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at the material for this week, all right? And I'm going to stop Facebook.